There comes a moment in every person's life when silence becomes louder than words. When your absence speaks truths your presence could never deliver. When walking away becomes the only act of strength you have left. People think they're unshakable, until they lose the one person who ever truly cared, and that disappearance hits harder than betrayal, because it forces them to face themselves without the comfort of your forgiveness, without the luxury of your presence, without the shield of your love. This is not a story about revenge. This is a story about awakening, about the moment you realize your heart is not a playground for someone else's confusion. It is the moment you decide to protect your peace, even if it means becoming the villain. In someone else's story, it is the moment they stop hearing your voice and start hearing their own mistakes echo back at them louder than truth ever has, because disappearing is not weakness. It is a quiet revolution. It is choosing yourself in a world that taught you to choose everyone else first. And the beauty, the tragedy, the raw reality is this: when you disappear, they feel things they never admit out loud, emotions they never saw coming, shadows they thought only you carried, but now they carry them all. Your absence becomes the mirror they've avoided for years. It forces them to face the parts of themselves they always hid from the world. The selfishness, the pride, the entitlement, the insecurity. You leaving becomes the turning point they never asked for but desperately needed, because losing someone like you is not losing a person. It is losing a universe, a safe place, a sense of home. And when they finally realize that you are far beyond reach, evolving into someone stronger, wiser and untouchable, your silence becomes their storm. Your distance becomes their lesson. Your evolution becomes their regret. And this story, the one you are about to hear, reveals exactly what they feel when you disappear. Not the surface emotions, not the fake confidence, not the ego-driven denial, but the real feelings, the hidden ones, the ones that tear at their soul long after you've gone. This is the truth behind disappearing, the power behind walking away, the quiet force of choosing peace over chaos. This is what they feel when you vanish without a fight. Welcome back, Stoics, to Stoic Spark. Let's not waste a second. You're here because the title pulled you in, and now it's time to dive straight into the things of what really matters. Thing number 1, confusion and to ego shock. When you disappear from someone's life without warning, when you stop explaining yourself and stop handing out chances like spare change, something inside them cracks in ways they never expected and never prepared for. Disappearing is not a loud act. It is not fire or thunder. It is quiet and clean and final, and that silence becomes the one thing they can never escape. You walk away with dignity, but they are the ones left staring at the empty space where you used to stand, trying to understand what just happened and why everything suddenly feels colder. The very first thing they feel is confusion, a heavy fog that settles over their mind, even if they pretend everything is fine. Confusion hits hardest when it comes from someone who is always consistent, always present, always forgiving. They replay old conversations like a movie in their head, but nothing lines up. They scroll through messages trying to read between the lines, but the lines are empty because you never threatened to leave. You simply left. That is what makes it sting. They expected warning, they expected a fight, they expected you to chase like you always did. But silence is the one thing they cannot decode, and that mysteriousness tears at their mind. They ask themselves 100 questions, but none have answers. What happened when? Did it shift? Were they too blind to notice your quiet sadness, your shrinking patience, your fading energy? It is only now that they start remembering all the small moments when your tone changed, when your eyes grew tired, when your smile stopped reaching your heart. But confusion is a late teacher. It always arrives after the damage is done, and that confusion slowly turns into something deeper, something sharper and more painful, a feeling no one ever wants to admit. Second feeling is ego shock. It is that punch to the pride that makes them stop and actually sit with themselves, because disappearing is the ultimate reminder that they were never as important as they assumed. Losing access to someone like you hits the ego in a place no one talks about. It is not a loud blow. It is a quiet bruise, a slow ache, an uncomfortable truth that whispers, you thought they needed you, but maybe you were the one who depended on their presence more than you realized. We're always there, always supporting, always understanding, always forgiving, and that made them believe you were permanent. They never imagined a day when you would simply choose peace over them, but that is exactly what happened. And when you disappear, their ego suddenly begins to crack. They start comparing themselves to the people they believe you might be around now. They wonder if you found someone more peaceful, more mature, more appreciative, and that thought alone makes their entire world tilt just a little off balance. They try to act unbothered, of course. They post pictures pretending everything's fine. They laugh louder around others, they tell people they don't care, but none of that hides the truth, because ego shock is a private emotion. It shows up in the quiet moments when no one else is watching, the moment their mind goes still, the moment the noise settles. That is when the truth hits them hard. They didn't expect you to leave because they never believed you had the strength to. They underestimated your silence, they underestimated your boundaries, they underestimated you, and while they battle confusion and ego shock, something else begins to haunt them. A sense of unease, a feeling they cannot name, a discomfort that grows with every passing day, because deep down, they know what happened. They pushed you too far, they ignored too many signs, they took too much for granted, and now they are paying the price. They realize that you were never dramatic, never impulsive, never reactionary. You walked away because you had been silently hurting for a long time. You walked away because they kept showing you who they were, and you finally believed them. You walked away because their actions left you no choice, and that realization hits them harder than any argument ever could. People always think you'll stay. People think kindness equals permanence. But when a kind soul leaves, it leaves the deepest mark, because it reminds them of their own emotional negligence. And the truth they never want to face is this: you didn't leave for attention. You didn't leave to manipulate. You left because you finally understood your worth. You chose the Stoic path, the one where peace matters more than proving a point, where walking away matters more than winning a fight, where growth matters more than guilt. And while you heal, while you rebuild, while you reclaim your energy, they remain tangled in the confusion they created and the ego shock they can no longer hide. Their mind tries to move forward, but keeps circling back to the moment they realized you were really gone, and every time that memory hits, it slices deeper, because the truth is a cruel teacher, and disappearing is the lesson they will never forget. Your silence becomes the mirror they cannot escape, and in that mirror they finally see themselves clearly, maybe for the very first time. Thing number 3, rejection. And for nostalgia, there comes a moment when confusion fades and ego shock settles, and what rises next is something they never thought they would feel from losing you. A feeling they never expected to wrestle with, because they always assumed you would be there, no matter how carelessly they treated your presence. That emotion is rejection, quiet, harsh, and undeniable, the kind that doesn't scream but sinks slowly. Like a weight in the chest, rejection hits different when it comes from someone who once cared deeply, someone who gave chance after chance and still managed to walk away without looking back. There is no argument to soothe it, no explanation to soften it. Your silence becomes the message, and your distance becomes the closure. They feel the sting in places their pride can't protect. They realize that losing you was not an accident. You made a decision, a choice, a boundary. Their mind runs in circles, trying to find a version of the story where they are still the important one, still the favorite, still the person you return to, but every loop ends in the same truth. You chose not to come back. Rejection is a mirror that strips everything bare, forces them to see that your love was not an endless supply, that your loyalty was not a guarantee. They thought you needed them. They thought you wouldn't dare to walk away. They thought your forgiveness was permanent. But when you disappeared, something inside them broke, because rejection from someone who once loved you is not just emotional, it is existential. It makes them question their own worth and wonder if they ever truly mattered, or if they were just a lesson that taught you how to outgrow the wrong people. Land. When rejection settles into their bones, something even heavier begins to surface. A feeling they can't shake, no matter how loudly they pretend they're fine. Nostalgia, the kind that sweeps in like a ghost, touching every corner of their memory, reminding them of everything they lost, everything they didn't protect, everything they didn't cherish when they had the chance. Nostalgia is cruel, because it never brings back the entire story. It only shows the soft moments, the good memories, the pieces of you that were warm, patient, forgiving, the things they never appreciated because they assumed you would always stay. They replay your laughter in their head, and for the first time, they hear the sincerity they once ignored. They remember the way you looked at them like they mattered, and now that look haunts them because they know they will never see it again. They think about the nights you stayed up, comforting them when you were the one who needed comfort. They remember the times you listened, even when your own heart was heavy. They remember your softness, your kindness, your presence, and all the little things they dismissed as ordinary, until they realized they were rare. Nostalgia rewrites their memory with painful clarity, because the past feels sweet only when the present feels empty. They start revisiting places you both went to, trying to feel something familiar, but it never hits the same. They scroll through old conversations, not to analyze them this time, but to feel close to you again, even if it's artificial, even if it's desperate. They find pictures of you, and the world stops for a second, their breath caught Somewhere between regret and longing, nostalgia has a way of reminding people that you were not the problem, you were the blessing. It shows them how much peace you brought into their chaotic life, how much stability you offered without asking for anything. In return, they remember your advice, your calm, your compassion. And suddenly, every moment they shrugged off is now a moment they cravened. That craving grows because nostalgia is not gentle. It is relentless. It makes them wish for one more day, one more conversation, one more chance to show up differently. But chances expire when respect expires, and they let respect die long before you ever thought of leaving. They didn't lose you in the moment you walked away. They lost you the moment they stopped valuing you. You didn't disappear to hurt them. You disappeared because everything inside you whispered, it's time to protect your heart. It's time to reclaim your peace. It's time to stop pouring into someone who only notices your worth in your absent sand. While nostalgia squeezes their chest, while rejection crushes their ego, while they replay every moment with you trying to change the ending, in their mind you are somewhere else, healing, growing, elevating. You are building a life where your value is recognized, not tolerated. Where your energy is cherished, not drained. Where your presence is honored, not taken for granted. They feel rejection and nostalgia, but you feel rebirth. Thing number 5, loss, and 6, guilt. There is a moment no one prepares for. The moment nostalgia stops being sweet and starts becoming a punishment. A moment when memories no longer comfort, they burn. When the past stops feeling warm and starts feeling like something slipping through their fingers forever, that is when the next emotion hits. Loss, not the kind people talk about casually, but the kind that cracks something inside them, something they once believed could never break. Loss shows up quietly. It arrives in the empty chair where you used to sit, in the silence where your laughter used to echo, in the late night hours when their thoughts get louder than their pride. They feel their chest tighten, not because you left suddenly, but because they finally understand something they ignored for too long. You were a stabilizing force, a calming presence, a safe place disguised as a person, and now that you are gone, everything feels unstable. Loss is not loud, it does not scream, it creeps in slowly, taking a piece of them. Every single day they wake up and feel it in the mornings, when they check their phone, and there is no message from you, no good energy, no warmth, no small reminders that you cared. They feel it in the moments when something good happens, and you are not the first person they want to tell anymore, because you are no longer there. Loss hits them again and again, not in waves but in tides, each one pulling them farther away from the version of themselves they were when you were in their life. They start noticing how empty their days feel. Without your presence, the things that once made them laugh now feel dull. The people they once relied on now feel distant, and inside, a truth grows quietly and painfully. They did not just lose you. They lost the best version of themselves because you brought out parts of them they cannot replicate with anyone else. And after loss comes the emotion they fear most. The one that rises slowly like a shadow stretching across their soul. Guilt, the kind that doesn't leave, the kind that weighs heavy on their chest, the kind that whispers reminders of everything they did wrong, every moment they failed you, every chance they wasted. Guilt rarely shows itself at first. It waits, it watches, it follows them through their days, but strikes at night, when their guard is down, when their facade fades, when they can no longer lie to themselves. They lie awake replaying moments that seemed small at the time, moments where their pride won, moments where you needed understanding but got indifference, where you needed love but got excuses, where you needed honesty but got half-truths. And guilt reminds them that you were patient far longer than anyone else would have been. You stayed through storms that were not yours. You tried to teach them how to love through example, but they didn't want to learn until the lesson arrived in the form of your absence. You walked away quietly, but your silence creates more noise in their mind than any argument ever could. Now, guilt becomes their companion, the kind that lingers in their mind during conversations, the kind that crushes their chest when they see something that reminds them of you, the kind that makes them question the person they believe themselves to be. They tell themselves they didn't mean to hurt you, but guilt responds with its own cold truth. Intentions mean nothing when actions cause pain. They feel guilty for not listening, for not appreciating, for not choosing you in moments when it mattered most. They replay scenes. Like a movie, they cannot pause the disappointed tone in your voice, the tired look in your eyes, the moments you waited for them to step up and they didn't. They see it all now. Far too late. Loss changes people, but guilt breaks them. Guilt forces them to see the truth. They did not lose you by chance. They lost you by choice, their choices, their habits, their neglect. their lack of emotional maturity, their inability to value something real until it was already gone, and as guilt sinks in, as loss numbs their heart, something else begins to settle, the realization that you are not coming back. That there is no message waiting to be sent, no second chance waiting to appear, no magical reset button that can erase what happened, and that is, when they finally understand the weight of everything, your disappearance was not revenge. It was self-respect loss. Destroys their comfort, guilt destroys their denial. And together those emotions begin to reshape their entire understanding of you, of themselves, of everything they once took for granted. While they mourn the version of you they pushed away, you are somewhere rebuilding yourself, learning to breathe again, learning to love again, learning to be whole without needing anyone to validate your worth. You are transforming into someone they will never have access to. Again, that truth is the sharpest cut of all things. Number 7, regret, and 8, admiration. There is a point where loss has already carved its space into their chest, and guilt has already whispered every painful truth into their mind, and yet the emotional storm inside them keeps growing because loss shows them what is missing, guilt shows them what they caused, but regret shows them what can never be undone. Is the emotion that arrives when reality becomes undeniable. It steps in when they finally accept that you are not returning, not by accident, not by weakness, not by hesitation. You are gone because you chose to be gone, and that choice was born from strength, not anger. They begin to realize that every moment they dismissed, every warning they ignored, every chance they wasted was a thread that slowly unraveled the connection they thought would last forever. Regret is not a single moment, it is a series of realizations hitting them over and over again when life moves forward without giving them a chance to fix the past. They start replaying the way you looked at them during the final days, the way your eyes dimmed, the way your voice softened into silence. They think back to the times you told them you were tired of being the only one trying, the only one caring, the only one fighting for something they treated like an option. And now those memories are no longer memories, they are knives. Shows up in the moments when they see someone who reminds them of you in the way you once smiled at them, the way you used to encourage them, the way you believed in them more than they believed in themselves. They see your presence in strangers and feel your absence everywhere. They open their phone wanting to message you, but their fingers freeze because every version of the message feels too small. For the pain sitting in their chest, they want to say I'm sorry, but regret whispers it's too late, and regret does something else, something they never expected. It forces them to see the truth about you, the truth they were too blind, too selfish, too distracted to appreciate. When they still had the privilege of you, they start realizing how rare you were, how irreplaceable, how quietly powerful, how deeply human. And that is when the next emotion begins to rise slowly and painfully. Admiration, the kind that grows from watching someone walk away without anger, without drama, without cruelty. You left with grace, you left with dignity, you left because your soul whispered that peace mattered more than proving a point. And that level of strength commands a respect they never offered when you were still close. They admire the calm way you carried yourself even when you were hurting. They admired the patience you showed even when you were pushed to the edge. They admire the silence you chose instead of revenge, and the way you let life do the talking instead of lowering yourself into battles that never deserved you. They admire how you healed without broadcasting your wounds, how you rebuilt without announcing your steps, how you grew into someone stronger, quieter, and more unshakable. Your absence becomes a lesson in power. Because walking away from chaos is not weakness. Walking away is a declaration of worth, the kind that only the emotionally mature can understand. And now they see that maturity in you. They see that discipline. They see that self-respect that they never had themselves. They admire the way you elevated. They admire how your energy shifted once you put yourself first. They admire how you stopped chasing, how you stopped explaining, how you stopped warning, and simply acted. They admire the version of you they never took seriously because they never imagined they could lose you on. That admiration hurts them more than anger ever could, because now they see you through the lens of someone who finally understands your value but no longer has access to your presence. They watch from a distance, seeing your growth, feeling their regret, battling their guilt, drowning in the realization that you left beautifully, gracefully, powerfully, and they admire you for it. Even as it tears them apart, becomes a silent confession, a quiet acknowledgement that you were the prize. They mishandled the blessing, they ignored the softness, they mistreated the peace they disturbed. They start wishing they could go back and undo every careless choice, but Regret holds them still, reminding them that some lessons must be learned through consequences, not comfort or strength. Awakens their admiration, but also their pain, because now they know what you knew all along. A person with a pure heart and a disciplined soul is rare, and when someone like that leaves, they don't return. They evolve, and evolution always moves forward, never backward. So they admire you from a distance, devastated by the truth. They are watching someone they once had grow into someone they can never reach. Again, thing number 9, fear. And 10, longing. There comes a moment when admiration no longer feels inspiring, when regret no longer feels sharp, when guilt no longer feels surprising, because something heavier begins to rise inside them, a feeling that crawls into their bones and refuses to let go, a feeling they cannot outrun, no matter how many lies they tell themselves. Fear, the kind that twists the breath in their chest and shakes the foundation beneath their feet, because fear is what happens when they realize they didn't just lose you, they lost their last chance to ever be the person you believed they could become. Fear settles in the quiet places of their mind. It shows up when the world stops moving, when the noise fades, when they finally have to face themselves without the shield of denial. Your absence becomes the mirror they avoided for years. And now when they look into it, they see every flaw, every insecurity, every ignorance, every moment of weakness they once hid behind arrogance. They fear what they see because you were the only one who saw their potential while everyone else saw their patterns. And now that you are gone, they are terrified of who they are without your influence. Fear takes their breath away, not because you left, but because you survived without them. You healed without them. You evolved without them. That truth shakes them, because it means they were not the reason you moved forward. They were the reason you had to separate. And in the deepest corner of their heart, fear expands into something colder, the realization that someone else might experience the version of you they were too blind to cherish. Your loyalty, your softness, your strength, your brilliance, your devotion. Someone else might be holding what they threw away, and that thought becomes the storm they cannot escape. And once fear has wrapped itself around their mind, the final feeling arrives. The last emotion, the one they cannot fight, no matter how hard they try. Longing, the kind that makes normal days feel incomplete, the kind that turns silence into a scream, the kind that replaces pride with hunger, hunger for your presence, your touch, your voice, your energy, your light. Longing is not gentle, it is not poetic, it is not romantic. Longing is raw, it aches, it claws, it burns. They long for conversations they once ignored, they long for the peace they took for granted. They long for the smallest parts of you, the way you listened, the way you spoke with clarity, the way you moved with purpose, the way you cared with depth. Longing makes them reread old messages, as if somehow the words will bring you back, but words cannot pull back. Someone who left with purpose, they scroll through your photos with a pain in their throat, wanting to reach through the screen, wanting to step back into the moments they were too foolish to appreciate. Longing turns their days into reminders that you were the one thing they needed but never protected. They try to fill the void, but longing is a loyal emotion. It does not attach to replacements, it does not disappear into distractions. It stays tied to the one person the heart cannot forget. And you became unforgettable, not because you were flawless, but because you were real, you were present, you were genuine. And nothing artificial can replace authenticity. Longing grows fierce, fear grows stronger. Fear that they will never feel that connection again with anyone. Fear that they ruined something rare. Fear that they will carry the weight of losing you forever. Fear that someone else will treat you better than they ever did. Fear that you will forget them in ways they can never forget you. Fear that your story has already closed while they are still stuck on the same chapter, reading the same sentence over and over again, trying to understand where everything fell apart. But fear does something strange. It teaches them the truth. You always lived by a truth from the Stoic world that you embraced long before they even understood it. You were never afraid to lose people because you never tied your identity to anyone. You valued peace over attachment, you valued principles over comfort, you valued self-respect over convenience. You understood that letting go is sometimes the highest form of strength, and disappearing was not escape, it was elevation. While fear consumes them, your world expands. While longing ties them to the past, your spirit moves toward the future you become. A reminder that the strongest people are not the loudest, they are the ones who walk away with grace, leaving behind echoes that continue teaching long after the door has closed. And in the end, while they drown in fear and longing, you rise in clarity. And freedom, you rise in discipline. And calm, you rise in purpose. And identity, you rise because you learned the greatest Stoic truth of all. Your worth is not defined by who you lose, it is defined by who you refuse to lose anymore, and you refuse to lose yourself. So If you have ever wondered what they feel when you simply disappear, understand this. They feel confusion, ego shock, rejection, nostalgia, loss, guilt, regret, admiration, fear, longing. They feel everything but you. You feel peace. You feel the return of your soul. You feel the quiet confidence that comes only from choosing yourself in the end. Disappearing is not running away. Disappearing is choosing to stop running toward the wrong things. And if this message resonated with you, drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what part hit you the most. Check out the other videos on this channel for deeper Stoic wisdom, and make sure you subscribe to Stoic Spark for daily Stoic insights that help you rise above the noise and master your inner world.